Hey guys, welcome back to Keys to Maryland Lunch and Learn. I'm your host, Shayna Mowat, the Legacy Curator. This is our second session, and I just want to say thank you guys who are here live with me today on Zoom. That is the best way to catch it because at the end, we're going to open the floor for a live Q&A. If you are watching this back on YouTube or listening to it on Spotify, thank you for tuning in. But make sure you hop on to Zoom so that you can get your questions answered live and in person as well. Each one of these segments are specially curated by me. So last month we talked about building your financial home, and this month we're going to be talking about budgeting like a pro for home ownership. Now we always start with some market updates, so let's get into it. The theme of purchasing real estate in 2026 is forward thinking. We are well out of the holiday season and entering tax time, which means spring market is on the way. What that means for real estate agents and lenders, busy, busy, busy. What does that mean for buyers and sellers? Well, inventory is gradually going to start rising. You're going to see move up sellers. You're going to see a lot of move up sellers because maybe their families are expanding or their kids are just getting a little bit bigger and they want more space or they can afford more space. So they're moving out of townhomes into single family homes. You're going to see a lot of renters who are now ready to buy because they've been preparing, they've been tuning in to Keys to Maryland, they've been having one-on-one strategy calls with myself, and now they're ready to buy. And you're going to see a lot of landlords looking to let go of inventory as their renters start to move out. And this doesn't sound like great news, but actually it is. Because what that means is that there's more inventory for investors and people who want to become landlords to get properties to rent out for themselves. The spring inventory is kind of like that first look advantage because it's not really for shoppers, people who are just taking their time. It's for planners, people who have really been preparing for this and are really intentionally ready to purchase property. So, with the holiday and tax season, we have a lot of refunds and bonuses. Buyers start to kind of get a renewed sense of confidence because now they have this extra money or this cushion of money to put towards their down payment, their earnest money deposit, inspections and appraisals, savings, of course, and proof of funds for lenders to approve them for a home. This is really great for any buyer, whether you're not a first-time home buyer, whether you are a first-time home buyer, whether you're an investor. Having those extra funds from tax returns and bonuses is always a great thing. Who doesn't love more money? Let's talk about rates and affordability. So, I don't like to think too heavy on rates, but I know that it is something that a lot of buyers and the media tends to talk about a lot. So, I do want to make sure that we touch on it a bit. Rates don't need to drop dramatically for affordability to improve. What buyers are doing now is what we call date the rate. You purchase a property now for the rate that you are approved for. And in a year, if rates go down, you refinance, you let that sucker go, and you get a new rate. And a lot of buyers are taking advantage of that. They are also negotiating seller credits for buy downs. They are also negotiating seller credits for buy downs. So in the lender world, what we like to say is you can't control inflation, you can't control inventory, and you can't control interest rates. But what you can do is negotiate. So seller concessions, typically 3%, are generally negotiated to go towards your closing costs, but you can also negotiate your seller concessions to go towards a permanent or temporary buy down. And so what that means is, well, a permanent buy down is pretty self-explanatory. For a temporary buy down, for the first 2 to 3 years while you are starting to make more money or you are getting your savings up or whatever the case is, what happens is that your rate is initially dropped for the first 1 to 3 years, and then you have a rate adjustment every year, and it starts to increase until it reaches that rate that you were initially approved for. So it kind of just gives you some breathing room your first 2 years of being in your home. You get a lower monthly mortgage payment initially before you start paying that full amount, like a grace period. Now, what I do want to say is that waiting doesn't save in the end. And I'm going to show you guys this chart right here. This chart is based on a property in a neighborhood that generally home values appreciate by 7% each year. So if you purchase this home, so right now in 2026, you come across a home in a neighborhood that appreciates 7% each year. The home value is $400,000. However, your interest rate is 6.5%. Your down payment is typically going to be 3%. This brings your monthly mortgage payment to $2,931. You decide that that interest rate looks crazy, I'm going to wait one more year. 2027, you decide, okay, I'm ready to purchase this home. This home is now valued $428,000, but you did get a lower interest rate for 5.75%. You still have to pay the same down payment, which is 3%, and now your monthly home payment is $2,930. Yes, you're saving $1, but you missed out on $28,000 worth of equity in your home. So it's kind of just like, what would you prefer? Would you prefer $1 less a month, or would you prefer $28,000 more in equity? So this is why I don't encourage people to focus on the interest rates, because you do have options of making the rate either work for you or dating the rate and refinancing later. And then when it comes to rates and affordability, I always encourage clients to structure smarter loan products. And the best way to do that is to shop your loan, get a second opinion. So a lot of times, especially with first-time home buyers, they get approved for a home and they're like, ooh, I got this approval. I'm gonna go buy my house. I'm so excited. I didn't even think that I could do this. But the chances are that if you can get approved with one lender, you can get approved with another lender. And sometimes another lender may be able to give you a lower interest rate that you're looking for. But even if they can't get you a lower interest rate, maybe they can approve you for more home, meaning your purchase price might be increased and your interest rate might be lower, or whatever the case is. This is why I always encourage even my clients to shop their loan, because you never know what other loan terms might be better for you and your goals and your current financial situation. The benefit of working with somebody like myself, a dual licensed real estate agent and lender, is that I work for a mortgage brokerage. So we shop your loan for you. So not only do you get that relationship with somebody who understands your ins and outs, your financial status, you don't really need a middleman or a third person party. It's a strategic one-stop shop. And you get round the clock service because I work 24/7. My team works 24/7. Most banks are closed on the weekends, or after 5 o'clock, you can't get in contact with them, but you're trying to figure out if this home is doable for you, but you have to wait until 9 o'clock the next morning. Aside from all that greatness, we shop your loan for you with a multitude of lenders. So that gives you various approval chances and more loan term options, again, that fit your goals and your current financial status. And not just that, we understand the importance of searching for a property to also match your lending terms. Because sometimes what happens is, and I've seen this a bunch of times, not to get off track, but this home comes with a monthly HOA. And now that monthly HOA has to be calculated into your DTI, into your future DTI. And now you're not approved for the home loan because the amount that that HOA is asking for a month is too much for what you can afford. And now the home that you thought you were going to purchase, you can't. And that's just the benefit of working with a dual licensed agent who understands it from the real estate agent aspect and the lender aspect. Not to get off track though. Okay, let's talk about program funding. So last month I told you guys that PG County Pathway to Purchase increased their funds from 25,000 to 50,000 for down payment assistance. I just want to touch on the fact that most buyers don't miss out on down payment assistance programs because they didn't qualify. They miss out on them because they weren't connected. They didn't know that this program was out there. A lot of the times, programs are not just state specific, they are county specific, city specific. There are even neighborhood specific programs and lender specific programs. So it's really just about being connected with the right person and doing your own research and due diligence to see what funds are available for you. Now, many of these down payment assistance programs refresh or reallocate their funds in quarter one and quarter two. We are in the second month of the year. Spring season starts at the end of quarter one, beginning of quarter two. If you are going to get active and you want to purchase a home using some of these down payment assistance funds, now is the ideal time to get in on the game. And then I also mentioned that there are some programs that are lender specific or that require an approved lender. So Maryland has what's called the Maryland Mortgage Program. In order to use the Maryland Mortgage Program incentives, you have to be working with an MMP approved lender, and every lender is not MMP approved. So that's just another thing to consider when you're trying to look into, well, what down payment assistance can I qualify for? In the DC metro area, a lot of the DPA programs open with caps, meaning there's a limit. They require fast action and they prioritize first-time home buyers. In Baltimore County, Baltimore City, their programs fluctuate more. So sometimes the funds are hefty and sometimes they're few. Some funds run out early because, like I said, they reset in quarter one, quarter two, and people are taking full advantage of that. And others roll over unexpectedly because sometimes city or county might find some money and they dump it into these DPA programs. There is the Baltimore Trolley Tour that is year round. It is a lottery program. It comes with a $5,000 incentive for you to use towards your down payment and closing costs. And it costs nothing to you but to go on this trolley tour, explore the city a bit, and they choose about, I believe, 25 people each time around to enter this lottery program. And if you're selected, you just got $5,000 towards purchasing a home. The last one was held on February 7th. They haven't announced when the next one is going to be, but if you head to livebaltimore.com, they always post it. So just be on the lookout for that. All of these down payment, well, let me say majority of these down payment assistance programs, whether you're in the DC metro area or the Baltimore and surrounding areas, require home buyer counseling as well. Again, any honest real estate professional is not just in it to sell you a home. We are in it for you to make the best purchase that you can, something that you can sustain, something that will work for you and your family for generations to come. We want to see you own the home and not end up in debt. We want to see you own the home, love the home, but more specifically, be able to afford the home for years and years to come. Okay, so that's all that I have for market updates right now. I want to play a game as we move into today's subject, which is budgeting like a pro. Our game is called What's Your Financial Lifestyle? The way that this game is going to work, I'm going to ask you some multiple choice questions, A, B, or C. I want you to either write down or just take a mental note of what your answer is. At the end, we're going to see what you answered most of, whether it was A's, B's, or C's, and we're going to let you know what your financial lifestyle is, whether you are living above your means, below your means, or within your means. There are no wrong answers and no wrong lifestyles, whether you're living within, below, or above your means. This quiz is designed to give you insight and there's no judgment. Your results simply reflect your current money habits, not your future potential. And I just want you to give yourself grace. We all have different starting lines, and the goal is progress, not perfection. Okay, so question one. How do you typically handle unexpected expenses? A, I use my emergency funds or savings. B, I have a stash set aside just for this. It's no stress at all. C, I put it on a credit card and figure it out later. Question two. When payday comes, what's your first move? A, pay bills and budget out the rest. B, transfer a chunk straight into savings or investments. C, treat myself. I deserve it. I know that's right. Three, how often do you dine out or order in? A few times a month when it fits my budget. B, rarely. I prefer cooking at home and saving. C, several times a week. Why not? Question four. What does your shopping behavior look like? A, I buy what I need and the occasional treat. B, I plan and save before buying anything, even on sale. C, I buy what I want when I want. YOLO. Question five. Do you know how much debt you have? A, yes, I have a plan to manage it. B, yes, and I'm actively working to pay it off fast. C, no, not really. I just pay the minimum and keep it moving. Question 6. What does your vacation planning look like? A, I save up and shop around for deals. B, I use rewards points or budget vacation options. C, I book what I want and worry about the bill later. Question 7. How do you feel when someone talks about budgeting? A, I'm open to it. I do it myself and it works. B, I get excited. I love finding new ways to save. C, I tune out. It sounds too restrictive. Okay, so I just want you guys to add it up real quick. Did you answer mostly A's, B's, or C's? And let's talk about what that means. So if you answer mostly A's, you're living within your means. You got a budget, you enjoy life, but know your limits. You budget wisely, you handle your responsibilities, and leave room for fun. Financially, you're stable, but there's always room to grow and optimize. Mostly B's mean you're living below your means. You're a money master. You're intentional with your spending, prioritize saving, and build for the future. You may pass up instant gratification, but your long-term financial health is thriving. Mostly C's means you're living above your means. Uh-oh, spender alert. You might love the finer things now, but it could come at a cost later. It's time to reflect on how your financial habits align with your goals. Don't worry, it's never too late to course correct. I just want to leave you guys with this final note. Your financial lifestyle today doesn't define your financial story tomorrow, and you have the power to step out on faith, shift, grow, and build the kind of life that you envision one decision at a time. Again, we might have different starting points, but the most important thing is that we are starting. Okay, so as we get into today's session on budgeting like a pro, specifically, we're talking about budgeting for home ownership because this is Keys to Maryland. So, again, my name is Shayna Mowat. I'm a licensed realtor, mortgage loan originator, and financial strategist. My clients remember me for my extensive market knowledge and my commitment to building legacy. For most people, purchasing a home is so much more than just finding the right property. It's a substantial financial commitment that impacts your long-term financial health. This presentation that we're about to get into is going to guide you through key aspects of home buying, from understanding the importance of home ownership to navigating the financial responsibilities that come with it. The very first step in budgeting, but specifically for home ownership, is assessing your current financial health. So what that means is getting a clear picture of your current financial situation. You're going to calculate your income, expenses, and debts. And this will help you understand what you can afford. You want to identify your discretionary and non-discretionary spending. You're going to track your spending habits, and I'll also let you know about some tools and apps for budgeting. The goal is to create a comprehensive budget. You want to consider your monthly income and how much you can comfortably spend on housing. A common rule is that your monthly mortgage payment should not exceed 28% of your gross monthly income on housing and no more than 36% on all debts. You also want to take in mind your upfront costs when you undergo your home buying transaction, which we're going to get into a little bit later, and your own ongoing home ownership costs, which we are also going to get into a little bit later. Home ownership is a long-term investment. We want you to prepare to stay in your property for several years and benefit from the appreciation and equity growth. That's how you truly build wealth through real estate when equity comes into play. There are additional housing expenses that I want you guys to keep in mind. We are going to talk about the one-time costs and the ongoing costs, but first and foremost, things to consider after you purchase your home is your HOA fees. If it applies to your neighborhood, there are also condo fees. Some areas have condo and HOA fees for shared amenities or regulations. You want to think about your routine maintenance, so allocating funds for landscaping, HVAC servicing, and minor repairs. And also your mortgage insurance. If you're only putting 3% down for your down payment, in which most people are doing, because who wants to drop 20% out of pocket? I mean, if you have it, go for it, but you are going to be required to purchase mortgage insurance. Some tips when you're exploring purchasing a home. Again, you want to access your budget, know your monthly income and expenses, aim for a mortgage payment no more than 28 to 30% of your gross monthly income. You want to account for an emergency savings. Ensure that you have at least 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved for unexpected financial challenges. And consider future changes. Factor in your potential life changes that could affect your income or expenses in the coming years. What if something was to happen to you at work, or you have a child, or Lord forbid, but I think health issues is one of the most common unexpected changes that happens. So you just want to prepare for that, plan for that. Here are some strategies for saving that I even apply to my own financial habits. Set it and forget it is a big one. It's super easy. You set up automatic transfers from your checking to a dedicated savings account. It's going there automatically. You don't even have to think about it. High yield savings accounts are a big one because what's the point in having money just sit there if it can't grow? Some accounts offer better interest rates than traditional savings accounts, and that just allows your money to grow passively. There's also the 50/30/20 rule. So 50% of your income for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for savings. You can also interchange that depending on your goals. And you could do 50% of income for needs, 30% for savings, and 20% for your wants. It just depends on what your expenses and your goals are, like I said. Okay, I'm no credit expert, but let's talk about credit management because this is what significantly impacts your mortgage rate. This is a chart of how your credit score is rated from exceptional to poor. A higher credit score typically results in better mortgage terms. Again, I'm not a credit expert, so I highly suggest that you sit down with somebody who is to talk about your credit history, the things that you need to work on. But some steps to improving your credit before buying a home. But some steps to improve your credit before buying a home includes checking your credit report regularly, paying down existing debts, making payments on time, avoiding new credit lines, and settle delinquencies. Now, ideally, or I encourage my clients to aim for a 620 credit score, especially when they've been working on it for so long. They've gotten it out of that poor range. A 620 credit score looks good. You can get approved with a 580. However, your interest rate, it will generally be higher, which means you'll be paying more a month. Okay, so understanding the cost of home ownership. This is where we're going to get into our one-time costs and our ongoing costs. Your one-time cost includes things such as your down payment, your earnest money deposit, which is subtracted from your down payment, your closing cost, which is generally 3% to 5% of your purchase price. You have your home inspection fees, your appraisal fees, your termite inspection fees, agent compensation, and moving expenses. And moving expenses is one thing that a lot of people don't necessarily consider because, yes, if you purchase a home, you know that you have to move, especially when you don't move a lot. There's a lot that goes into moving that people don't necessarily think about, like boxes and help cleaning products to clean out your home when you first move in. But there's a lot that goes into moving. So moving expenses is a one-time cost that you want to consider as well. And then you have your ongoing costs like your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, your utilities, and maintenance and repairs, which is typically 1 to 3% of your home value annually. You should be annually getting your HVAC system, your electrical systems, your plumbing, just taking a look at to make sure that you're not at risk for any pipes bursting or whatever the case is, preventative inspections for that. So save up for about 1 to 3% of your home value annually to keep your home maintained. Okay, your debt to income ratio. This is what lenders look at when they are approving you for a home. The way to calculate your debt to income ratio is to take your monthly debt payments and divide it by your gross monthly income, multiply by 100, and you're going to get a percentage. For example, if your monthly debt payments is $2,050 and your gross monthly income is $6,000, multiply that by 100, your debt to income ratio is 34.2%. What lenders like to see is 43% or lower for approvals, and then 50% or higher may limit your borrowing ability. You're a little bit more of a risk because you don't have the funds to maintain this home mortgage. All right, so let's just summarize all the things that we kind of touched on, the steps to budgeting for a home. You want to assess your financial health first and foremost. Second, you want to set a realistic budget. Third, you want to save for a down payment. Fourth, you want to factor in additional costs. Fifth, you want to check your credit score. Sixth, you want to get pre-approved and shop your approval, guys, for your loan terms. Seventh, you want to plan for closing costs. And eight, this is probably the most important thing once you get to this point, you want to stick to your budget. You have it written down, you set a plan in motion, stick to the plan. I mentioned that there are some tools and apps for budgeting that they have. If you're a business owner, you're probably using something like QuickBooks to figure out where your funds are going. But I do have a budgeting e-guide. It's free to download at yourlegacycurator.com. But yeah, I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. If you are here live on this Zoom, expect to be back next month, March 11th it should be. Let me see. Yes, we're going to meet back on March 11th. Now, this is a big one. If you are looking to purchase a home this year or in the upcoming months or next year, we're going to be going through the full home buyer process. This isn't going to be your typical seminar that you might have went to that it was a little bit boring, because you're going to be sitting with me talking about the home buying process, a dual licensed realtor and lender. So I'm going to give you the real nitty gritty, the raw of everything. We're going to go into detail. I'm going to tell you the good, the bad, the ugly of purchasing a home, but you will be fully prepared to do so. So thank you guys again for tuning in. And if you're watching this on YouTube or Spotify, be sure to follow and subscribe. Again, hop on the Zooms. You can register for that on Eventbrite. The link is up on my social media pages. You can contact me directly if you want the information. The good thing about being here live is that you get to stick around for questions and get your questions answered. If you wanted me to explain anything a little bit further, we got some time to sit and chat for a bit. We got about 20 more minutes. We're here for an hour. We have about 20 more minutes, and you could just ask whatever questions that you have. But if you are here and you can't make it on to the Zooms because you're at work or whatever the case is, it is a lunch and learn, and it is 12 o'clock in the day. Go ahead and subscribe, follow, like, comment, share, and yeah, just don't miss the recording. See you guys next month.